And we're live back with another podcast. Mike and Jeff, as always. Actually got a lot to talk about. Mostly around the league kind of stuff. A lot of signings happened since we last podcasted. Unfortunately, we did not break any signings. We were a couple hours too soon.
It's all good. Yeah. All that matters by the end of the day is that, these guys are signed.
Yeah. And obviously we're gonna break down more of the Flyers kind of preseason, kind of going down in training camp and everything. And we move on to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yes.
And Jeff kind of teased something last time, which we'll get into later today as well. Yep. Which I don't know if a lot of people outside of maybe Pittsburgh kind of know this.
Probably not, honestly.
Like if you're talking to like the average like hockey fan,
no.
So I don't think a lot of people really noticed it.
Right. It also depends on what area you live in.
Yeah.
So for us, obviously, it's not that surprising because we live,
right here.
We're here. We're 5 hours from Pittsburgh. You know, and we watch a lot of their games because they're in the East Coast, of course. Mm-hmm. So and it's Flyers, Penguins, and stuff like that. And but. Again, we'll get into that story later
on. But first, we got some signings.
Yeah.
All the RFAs are starting to sign.
Yep.
Took a little while, but it's finally happened.
So here's where we were with all of the RFAs. All right, not all of them, but here's the top RFAs. I'll put it that way. At least what we think, because we're trying. I texted Mike before the podcast began. Earlier in the day, because I was trying to come up with a list and find out, all right, what are some of the top names from where we began this whole RFA fiasco? Here's the list so far of everyone out there that we could think of for now. Patrick Laine, Kyle Connor, Matthew Tkachuk, Mikko Rantanen, Braden Point, Brandon Carlo, Charlie McAvoy, Brock Besser, Ivan Provorov, Travis Konecny, Mitch Marner, Zach Werenski, Timo Meier, Sebastian Aho, Jacob Trouba as well. As Mike mentioned that one late to me, which a little bit later, which I thought needed to be worth mention. As of September 17th, meaning today, we are down to 5 names out of that monster list. Patrick Laine, Kyle Connor, Matthew Tkachuk, Mikko Rantanen, and Braden Point. That means the latest RFAs to sign: Brandon Carlo as of earlier this morning, Charlie McAvoy, Brock Besser earlier as well, Travis Konecny just signed last night. So excited about that. And, of course, Ivan Provorov, another huge signing for Philadelphia. So it's so nice to see all of these names are finally slowly but surely getting signed, Mm-hmm. But here's my question for you, though, Mike. How much longer will it take to get Laine, Connor, Tkachuk, Rantanen, and Point signed? Because I don't know what's going on.
For the harder part for Winnipeg is trying to is kind of what the Flyers had to go through because they have to re-sign 2 guys.
Right.
So that is a little harder. So I kind of get that because you don't know which way to go. Because they're both very valuable players.
Yes, extremely.
And sometimes it is hard to kind of put a price on those.
For sure. So let's take a brief look at Winnipeg right now.
Yeah.
They have 15.
We kind of did it last time too.
Right.
Yeah.
They have $15.45 million in cap space this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot to sign both Laine and Connor. That should be enough.
Both guys that could, one you could argue can get $10 million, one around 8 and 9.
Exactly.
So that's a lot of caps you have to eat.
Oh yeah.
How you want to do the years and everything, which it seems like a lot this year was kind of.
And I hate
more so price. I feel
sure
that's why some of these guys
for sure.
Filled out.
And I hate to put it this way, but for Winnipeg, depending on what their asking prices are, you might be in a pickle here where it's not just can you sign both. It might be can you just sign one or the other.
I don't think they would have been able to sign all 3 if they would have kept Trouba, which is why they.
Exactly. Got rid of him. Yeah, for sure. That's a great point you made. Got cap
Not
relief.
That loss is going to come back and bite them.
I mean, yes and no, I guess. No, because, again, they already have a decent amount of defensemen.
Yeah.
And also, the other thing is, a huge reason why that they still have a lot of cap space is because although they did sign Josh Morrissey to a huge 8-year deal, that doesn't come into effect until next year because his contract's $3.15 million. That jumps up to $6.25 next year.
Which also helps was Myers left, so you didn't have to re-sign him, and the Flyers got Hayes.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
To worry about
exactly. So there's a lot of factors that,
and even
it's
though
helping Winnipeg,
even though they did lose some of those guys, Myers was there the longest out of them all, but I don't think he'll be missed too terribly much. And Hayes is still valuable. I'm sure that's going to be a loss. But even with those losses that they did get and everything, this still is a very good team. I think last year, even though they didn't play particularly great and Line A headed kind of off, it was started out great and then kind of tailed off, which I think is why a lot of people thought maybe there's a lot of rumors this offseason with Line A.
Right.
But this still is going to be a good team.
Yeah, so
look what's still there. And I think
Wheeler, Scheifele, Ehlers, Brian Little, Matthew Perrault, Adam Lowry, Andrew Kopp, Line A, and Connor, whenever they signed, Bufflin, Kulikov, Morrissey, Neil Pionk, Nathan Bellew, Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah. That's like some of those guys, because I was more so like the top end of those guys. They're still there.
Yeah.
Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler are still very good players.
Yes.
And Mark Scheifele's still only 26.
It's a little scary.
And those guys are signed for a long period of time, so those guys are there for whatever. And Ehlers too. So, and then if you lock up these guys, for as long as you locked up those guys, they're going to be lethal for a while.
Yeah.
The only problem now is, which is why I think they'll maybe bite themselves a little bit for losing Trouba, is that Bufflin is 34.
Right. Their average age is 26.3. Kulikov 28, Morrissey 24, along with Pionk.
Some of them are younger.
Bellew 26, Niku 22, and Pullman 26.
And if Hellebuck can do what he did, not last year, because I think he did okay last year, not great, but compared to the year before, he did great. If he can do that again, I don't doubt this team can be
Western Conference Final.
Yeah, again. And then also take the Central.
Yeah. No, again, it's no secret that they do have a very good team. I was definitely worried a little bit prior during the offseason, but kind of looking at the team again,
it's still a very good
team. It's still a very good team. I'm definitely less worried than I was before for Winnipeg. I think I'm just trying to figure out where they go with Line A and Connor.
Yeah.
That's my only concern at this point, of course. Because I know there's been trade rumors swirling around Patrick Laine's name. And let's face it, who would you rather have, Patrick Laine or Kyle Connor? I mean, nothing against Connor, but
also to what Laine are you going to get?
That's fair.
The one that scores 30 goals right out the back, or the one that kind of tailed off and was kind of...
That's definitely fair. The other thing is...
And I also think they could probably... Not that he's not valuable, but he is just a sniper. He's a great sniper.
Oh, fantastic. He's probably going to be like one of the next Ovechkins.
Yeah.
But then for
Connor is just
Kyle Connor,
is a good playmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I just thought of, honestly, on the spot, Mike, let's say if they don't sign Connor, or sorry,
and I can't even go to my normal argument of it, center versus winger, but they're both wingers.
Yeah.
So
that's the other thing.
That argument doesn't really
no
up here.
But let's say if they do sign Line A, what if he requests a trade? You know?
Yeah. That's why they kind of lost Trouba, because not this past offseason, but I think in years past he asked for a trade, and now it finally happened. Now he's in New York, so that's possible.
You never know. I'm not saying he will, but anything could happen.
But we talk about how close the Metro is, but still the Central got a lot better.
It did. It really did. So that's So that that's still obviously an issue in
and sticking
Winnipeg.
With Central, if we're still talking about RFAs that are still available.
Yeah.
Mikko Rantanen hasn't signed.
Yes, and this one's so baffling to me. Colorado, $15.6 million.
Yeah.
And they only have one player in their entire organization to worry about that they had to sign still, and that's Mikko Rantanen. He should get a long-term deal. Yeah. Like, I'm talking 6 years. Like, he's proven that he can stay in the NHL. He's proven that he's a remarkable young player.
Yep.
He's shown up in the playoffs. He's a top 6 forward easily. Mm-hmm. I'm just confused on what's happening here with Joe Sakic and why they haven't been able to sign Rantanen.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's something on Rantanen's end or what. And again, unfortunately, because we're out here in the East Coast, we don't know as much about the West Coast as we do in the East again. Because think about it.
You can also make the same argument about, not so much, but Brad Traveling and Calgary and not signing Kachuk yet.
Yeah, no, exactly.
They only have
could.
They have $6.3 million.
Yeah,
that's just left to sign Kachuk.
Yeah,
but they were also because didn't they also have to sign Monahan or someone this offseason too?
I want to say it was like one of Monahan or Bennett.
Yeah, it was Bennett.
Bennett.
I think. Yeah, it was Bennett.
Gotcha. But
again, it was one of those things where now that Marner has signed, I think within the next week or so, I think these guys are going to sign to get back. Because
I'd imagine because preseason's here.
Yeah, I don't think I answered your question, but
no, you're good.
But that's my answer to your question. I think in like a week or so, the
right
will sign.
Yeah, no, because we saw that slowly but surely, one by one, these players are starting to sign more and more, and when we get to Philadelphia and Konecny, when we'll talk about him in just a little bit, but we just want to finish up with Rantanen first and talk a little bit about Kachuk and everything. Because again, right now these guys are missing camp. Mm-hmm. These guys are missing preseason.
Hey, I think
I know they just started, but still,
this is my thinking of why Konecny's just completely changed kind of the subject here.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I mean, it honestly kind of all relates. But yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing. But go ahead.
Alain Vigneault a lot of times kind of threw some shade on the Konecny not being
really
there,
did,
and I feel like that may have played a little, I don't think a lot, but a little role in why he
had to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me.
Which I mean, he didn't. His points were valid.
They really were.
Like he should be here because that's a new system. You're learning new things. You should be here.
Exactly.
Really
just like everybody else,
I think he wanted him to be more like Provo. Like I want to be here.
Right.
Get me a contract done before camp, and I'll be there. Which happened with Provorov.
Yeah. Because.
And I think Vigneault, I believe, was the first call Konecny got after he got the signing.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was said last night on the broadcast that Konecny didn't actually pick up at first because it was an unknown caller.
TK, you clown. I love it. But I'm trying to find like the exact quote.
I feel there was a couple, but still.
Yeah.
But while you're kind of getting to that, I think I'm going to get into some of these signings.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, keep rolling with it.
Okay. Well, I think the biggest one, obviously, is Mitchell Marner.
Yeah, the Marner saga is finally over.
Because it was over, like, this was another one where, again, I feel like a lot of people were on years more so actual, like, value or money or anything, because that was, for Marner's sake, it was, like, either, like, 3 years, 6 years, then they wanted him to go a little longer, he didn't want it. But his is 6 years, 65.3, almost 65.4 mil, almost 11 mil, average annual, 10.89 to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad.
No, not at all. Not at all. He got, quite a bit, but yeah, it's...
And again, Toronto was another team where, and that was the other thing too, Toronto and Tampa Bay too, because Tampa Bay didn't have that much cap and everything, which is why I think that took a little while too for Point, but why it's taking so long for Point.
Yeah. But here's the other thing that's wild.
Like Winnipeg, I feel like Toronto's another team where they're set for a while.
They are.
All their guys are signed. Matthews is signed. Tavares, Marner, Nylander now. Hopefully he can bounce back.
Kapanen signed. Andreas Janssen.
The only thing you have to worry about now that you have no cap, is your defense.
Yeah.
Because you have a bunch of RFAs and UFAs next offseason.
Hold on, let me...
The only person that's signed to next season on your defense is Morgan Rielly. Everyone else is either a UFA or RFA.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, they're in trouble. But this is what's going to help. Nathan Horton and David Clarkson contracts are finally over next year.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yep.
So that'll give them cap relief, but still.
They just took on Clarkson's or one of their contracts again. So.
It was Clarkson. Yeah. I saw that. It made me laugh. So Cece, Muzzin, Tyson Barrie.
I think the biggest one they really would like to get signed is Jake Muzzin.
Yeah. I think he played an important role for them last year. But here's my thing, though. Because we've always said Toronto's defense, though, needed some help. They got help within this past year and everything during the offseason.
I'd still say they need help. But
they need help still, more so cap relief. But look at their defense now. Morgan Rielly, Cody Cece, Jake Muzzin, Tyson Barrie. That's an extremely amazing top four right there. Then your bottom six could look like Jordan Schmaltz, who I think could be good there. You have Martin Meranson, Ben Harper, Justin Hull as your other defensemen. But that top four is incredible. And they're all extremely young. The oldest there is Muzzin, who's only 30.
Yeah.
So that's not good for...
And also...
Yeah.
2 former Flyers are on PTOs.
Yeah.
For the Maple Leafs.
By the way, Neuvirt's already injured.
Of course he is. Yeah. Michael Neuvert and Meat Reed.
Meat Reed? Don't you mean Matt Red?
Yeah, Matt Red too.
But,
yeah.
Yeah. So
I do kind of feel bad for Reed, though.
I do too.
He had a couple years here where he was pretty good.
During his rookie year in 2012, he was unreal.
And like
years prior, he won it
because the whole thing with him that year was like, oh wow, he's actually a pretty good goal scorer and everything. Yeah. And then that never really came about.
But then he had too many injuries.
That and also he started becoming more defensive.
Yeah,
which I think did kind of help him at least near the end to stay with the team.
Yeah,
instead of going back to the fans.
I agree. I do feel bad for Reeder.
I do too, but hey, maybe. I mean, that's not. I don't. He doesn't have a great opportunity to make this team because of obviously all the guys: Kerfoot, Johnson, Nylander, Marner, Tavares, Matthews, kind of take all the spots, and Kapanen.
Not wrong.
So, and they just signed Jason Spezza, and
yeah.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
No,
it doesn't
for
make
sure.
the team.
It's not likely at the same time.
No. Not that I think bottom 6-wise, somewhere he can, be help. Mm-hmm. He was in Minnesota last year. He was. I think he was just a guy like Justin Bailey. He was just brought up, down. Which unfortunately, I think at this point, at 33, that's probably the rest of his career.
Yeah, unfortunately. Also, really quickly here, because since we're on the topic of Toronto, here are Toronto's big three: Marner, Matthews, Tavares. Here's your contracts: Marner 10.9 for 6 years, Matthews 11.6 for 5, Tavares 11 mil for 7. But then look at a team like Boston: Bergeron, $6.9 million for 8 years. Marchand, $6.1 million for 8. Pastrnak, $6.67 for 6. McAvoy, $4.9 million for 3.
Mm-hmm. And Brandon Carlo too for
and
only
Brandon
2 years.
Carlo, yeah, 2 years, but and that's 2.85.
Yeah.
So let's just jump ship over to Boston now, but still, the contracts are. I get it, like you want to lock up these incredible young players.
The only problem with some of that is you could end up like the Blackhawks.
Yeah, you really can.
Like every year, like even when they were on their like run and everything,
they're always clearing cap space.
Someone had to go.
Exactly.
And they brought him back.
Yeah.
Then
Prestige.
they traded him away.
Saad.
He's back again.
Yeah.
Shaw.
But
Sharp.
Yeah. No, he never left and came back.
I thought he did.
No.
I thought they brought him back and left and then came back.
I don't think so.
That could be wrong.
But so for Boston, $1.15 million left in cap space.
And that's after all their signings.
Yeah. So they're good. But then next year they have a bunch. They Charlie Coyle, Chris Wagner, Brett Ritchie, Joachim Nordstrom, Jake DeBrusk is an RFA along with Ritchie. Let's hear Matt Grzelcyk is RFA, Halak, Chara, Kevon Miller, and Torrey Krug.
Again, I don't know. Because this year after this year, he'll be 43. So, not that he's not a great leader and everything.
Right.
But not everyone's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I really did think, though, if they won the Cup, that
he would have retired.
Yeah.
He would have retired.
Which I think... Because because I think they're a good chance of possibly making to the Cup again and everything because of obviously their top 3 and then defensively and Tuukka and Halak.
Yep, for sure.
Solid and hopefully can be solid for them again. I hope not. I think a lot of teams in the Atlantic hope not because they want to be one of the Cinderella teams in the
basically
in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Because that's the one division you can automatically just go, okay, we know this order.
3.
We know this order.
We know the top 3. Yep.
Like, at least in the Pacific, you can kind of have an idea, but that's a little different every year where you think.
Yeah, but then the Atlantic, you literally can predict the exact order. Yeah. It's not that hard.
No. Even with some of the teams that got better, too. It's just that top 3 is just so...
It's so dominant.
Yeah.
I just feel... So... Actually, did you have any other comments about Boston's RFAs and McAvoy and Carlo?
No, but we can stay on McAvoy and kind of go to the defense.
Yeah.
The defenders.
Okay.
And more so just talking about, obviously, the big 3 of McAvoy, Werenski, and Provorov.
Right.
Which I don't think we said Provorov's contract yet.
No, we did not. That is...
6 years, $40.5 million, 6.75 per year.
All right. Proving.
Which... Out of those 3 guys, he went the longest.
Honestly.
And is going to make the most out of him, which...
Well, here's
in
where...
a way, I kind of thought it was a little surprising, but I do think it's deserved, even though you could maybe make the argument that he had a kind of down year last year.
I don't
care. At least
care.
to start the year.
I'm glad. I agree. It's not like I don't care, but I'm saying I don't care because...
He's still just as dominant, and he's only 20.
We know what type of defenseman
he's 22.
He's 22. Yeah.
He's 22. He's going to be the Flyers' best defenseman.
I'm extremely happy they locked him up for 6 years.
So am I, because, again, that was one of the things
you brought that up.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's do a bridge deal.
The same thing with Konecny.
No don't have to worry about it. Yeah, which is great.
Now it's a little less of a headache because they still have those guys they have to re-sign, but that would have been a bigger headache.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. So my thing, though, is, Provorov, he's making $6.75 million per year.
McAvoy 4.9 and Werenski
5
million?
5. Yeah. So literally he's just making he's making under $3 million more than maybe 2.5, my math is off though, more than McAvoy and 1.75 more than Werenski. The thing is, though, he's locked up long term. Like, obviously for 3 more years than both of them are. This is where it becomes a problem for McAvoy, for Werenski, because if they're getting $4.95 million now, man, imagine that jump to for their next contract, because they're hell of a defenseman for both of them.
Yep.
All 3, really. Not only that, but
if you
they're going to want even more money.
Because if we were doing this, obviously we were doing this podcast back in the summer, but if you would have asked me who out of those 3 I thought was going to make the most.
McAvoy.
Yeah. I thought it would go McAvoy, Provorov, then Werenski.
Yeah. Not saying, obviously, Werenski doesn't deserve it. He does. It's just, it would make more sense to give.
I think McAvoy and Provorov.
They're more so on the same level.
And I think they help a little more.
Because Werenski, he's obviously a good defenseman, but he's almost like an Erik Karlsson, where he's... Well, all right, that's not true, because Karlsson's a rare case.
He's a good defensively, too.
Exactly, and
but
that's why I took
I know what you're trying to say. He's offensive.
He's an elite offensive defenseman.
And who knows, maybe it can be like a John Karlsson or Erik Karlsson. Later on, his defense comes...
Exactly, for sure. No, that's an excellent point. But I really do think that McAvoy and Provorov play a much bigger role. They help anchor the whole ship. Well, obviously, for McAvoy, he's only 21.
Yeah.
That's insane. But he is Zdeno Chara, and that really helps.
That
also,
helps,
Torrey Krug and Brandon Carlo.
Once he's gone, McAvoy takes the reign, pretty much, I think.
Yeah, because Bergeron... He's 34.
Not on the captain front. I'm just saying.
Right.
For
defense, yeah. But honestly, on the captain front, I would say, unless right away you name captain in Bergeron, most likely, I would give the A to either Pasternak or McAvoy, but they'll probably give it to Marchand.
Nah. I'd give it to Patrice.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, give him the C, and then give the A to either Pasternak or McAvoy. But if they decide to go 3 alternates instead of 2 alternates and a captain, then I would say that third alternate goes to Pasternak still or McAvoy. But because McAvoy, he's he's an incredible athlete, incredible player. But Boston's set. It's really something that's turned around for them with only literally they went to the Cup Finals, and they made a couple of deep playoff runs since their quote unquote rebuild since 2015.
Here's really where both Boston and Toronto, mostly I think, since they already know they're most likely going to be playing each other year after year.
Right. Which I kind of hate, though.
I do kind of hate that, but I think even if you go back to the old playoff method, especially if it was last year's standings, they still would have played each other.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to try to find something that's you can beat on the other side.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately for Toronto, they did have a lead on them, but Anderson and defensive.
Honestly, again, that's where it comes down to.
And then Tuukka shut him down.
He really did. And honestly, the other thing is I don't get about Boston. They get on Tuukka Rask's case so much. I never will understand that. I mean, yeah, he was in the 2010 Boston Philly series. That has to be the anchor of it. That has to be the pure reason behind it. Yes.
I don't know if you've know this or not. Boston fans kind of hold grudges. I'm not sure if you know that or not.
I kind of did notice that.
They did forgive Bill Buckner, but they did give him shit for so many years.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yes. Yeah, you're not wrong, though. But it's like, freaking why, though? They
did win the next year.
But he wasn't the goalie, though. It was Tim Thomas. So, oh, God.
I don't know.
I get it, but at the same time, I don't get it, man.
I guess I don't get it because the Flyers have had. Because I can't really go off the Flyers front.
Because we've had our own.
No, I'm just saying in the sense of how I kind of see this, because I only really pay attention to the Flyers.
Right.
And that...
You mean Bruins?
Instead the Bruins or like any other team like that.
Gotcha.
Because some of the other teams have had solid goaltending for a while.
Well, right, and obviously the Flyers haven't really.
Yeah. So we have it where...
They haven't had consistent goaltender, at least in my opinion, since Robert Esch in the early 2000s. You could... honestly, there people will go back way later and say since Hextall in the 90s.
Maybe, yeah.
But because
you can say potentially Bobrovsky. He was coming into who he was.
Now, I still don't get. I don't understand the whole fiasco on. Yeah,
I thought Steve Mason was pretty not solid, but he was a good goalie.
Yeah, no, Mace.
They had good goalies at kind of good times, and
also good goalies, but at just bizarre times.
Yeah, because let's not forget, because everyone makes a big joke out of Brizgalov being here. He had a long shutout streak.
He did.
I think a lot of people forget that he had that.
Yeah.
And I think he still holds the record for that.
I'm pretty sure he does. He also won the Vezina trophy. Not saying in Philly, of course,
but still. So it's not surprised that they brought him in. He just didn't really.
But I just hate the fact that they signed him for that long.
Well, yeah.
Dumbasses.
Which is actually weird, because I did want to bring this up too. How different. We do bring this up a lot, but how different right now the NHL is compared to just
literally 5 years ago.
Yeah.
There's no more enforcers.
Well, I wasn't even talking about that. I was talking about contract-wise.
Oh, absolutely contract-wise. Yeah. That's a good point, though. Contract-wise.
Because at most, you might see someone go 8 years, but that's as long as they'll go. I think that's as long as the CBA actually makes them go years.
Speaking of which, so you mentioned CBA. No more lockout for potentially
3 years.
3 years.
Yep.
Woo! They decided not to forget like the correct terms, but basically the NHL will not have a lockout for the next 3 years because they did not terminate the CBA. That's what I was looking for. So because you mentioned CBA, I was like, oh, wait, CBA, that's important.
But is there any, before we kind of change the subject here, because we've kind of been on this for a while.
Yeah.
And there's been so many signings that we can't really get into all of them. We could, but then it just gets repetitive.
Right.
But is there any one of these contracts, and even going back to like Werenski or some of the earlier ones, that kind of surprises you? In terms of years or contract.
Right. Or that's a really good question.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I might say Konecny. Because I didn't actually think he was going to get 5-5. Truth be told, I thought it might be 5 at most.
Also, another big one that happened last night. Brock Besser, 3 years, $5.87 million per year. Great deal there for Besser. But going back to your question though, Mike.
Actually, no. Know what the biggest surprise was? Clayton Keller signed this year.
Yeah, that was pretty big.
Next offseason.
That was pretty big. I would definitely say that, or the only reason I'm saying this was probably the biggest surprise is because of how little it actually was worth, Sebastian Aho. Because of the offer sheet from Montreal and the fact that obviously Hurricanes were going to match it, but it was such a low ball offer.
You know what? You couldn't even go even further than that and look at San Jose's.
Timo Meyer, however the hell you pronounce his name. Is it Meyer or Meyer?
I always say Meyer.
Meyer? I think it's Meyer, yeah.
I mean, he got a good amount, but it was, what was it?
Right.
Kevin LeBlanc. That was a big surprise to me.
LeBanc?
Yeah.
I love LeBanc.
1 year, $1 million.
Yeah, no,
that's a big surprise to me.
That was amazing, though. The fact that Doug Wilson was able to steal that, get that offer from him.
I changed my mind. That's the biggest surprise.
That literally got me laughing and thought, this is remarkable. Got a very talented and underrated player.
Also, I actually might just want to say this in general, how whatever you wanted to say, how well San Jose was in their kind of off season, and they did lose Pavelski and everything. They did keep 2.6, almost 2.7 million cap.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily they got LeBlanc for only
$1 million.
Yeah, but in doing that, they signed Mayer and Carlson, and they got Jumbo Joe back.
They did.
For a team that didn't have that much cap space, that's not bad.
No, definitely not.
I mean, they're obviously going to miss their captain.
Yeah.
Former captain.
Let's switch things up to Philadelphia really quickly here, because they're done with trying to sign people. Mm-hmm. Thank God.
And now it's just kind of a matter of people kind of getting healthy.
It really is.
Nolan Patrick, because that's still
that's so just a bizarre situation, week to week apparently for Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's week to week, but he's still skating. So
yeah,
I really don't know what's going
on. Vigneault said Patrick has been very involved, essentially doing everything he can without actually practicing, and this is where things get interesting. Because this is remember, this is before Konecny signed. Here's the exact quote that I found.
Oh, you found it?
Yes. Well, so there's in a way two kind of subtle jabs.
Subtle jabs at Konecny. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, this is AV talking about Patrick. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, he's in all the meetings. He's doing extra ice. He's doing extra on the ice with our skills coach. Hopefully this upper body injury will leave and he'll be back with us. But I think the fact that he's here, he's capable to see the video that we're showing. He knows all the drills that we're doing. He is behind, but he is not as far as behind as someone that's not physically here at this time. Again, I'll repeat that quote. But he is not as far behind as someone that's not physically here at this time.
And there was only one person that was not there.
Yeah.
But I will say this, though. Would you have ever, especially now with Sean Couturier, who's, from what I've read, is kind of tearing it up right now?
He's dominating the ice drills. And I mean pure out dominating.
He's their best centerman.
Yeah.
He's making 4.3.
I know. And that's what makes me laugh about this whole thing. And that's why Ron Hextall was such a genius to give him that contract.
And Ghost.
And Ghost is better. Exactly. I was just thinking for his contract.
4.5.
And he's locked up until 2023, 2024.
Yeah.
That's when James Van Riemsdyk's contract ends, by the way, for those who are wondering.
Yeah. Which, again, was one of those things, like, okay, 3 years.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about.
Oh, my gosh.
Because 2022, 2023 is going to be bad enough because you have to worry about signing both Giroux and Couturier.
Yeah.
Let alone put TK and Provorov in there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. The other quote, though...
You found both of them?
I have both. The other one was that Vigneault said after his first practice leading the Flyers, I'm very disappointed that TK is not here. It's the start of a new era, a new group. I felt that was very important for everybody to be here. With my time in the NHL, my experience, anybody that falls behind, whether it's injury or in TK's situation, not coming to camp, usually it takes them a little bit of time to get back at it, especially at this time with the new coaching staff and new way of doing things. It's unfortunate, but I'm going to work with the players that are here and going to work extremely hard with his players.
Hey, I honestly, he's right. Just look at Nylander last year.
Yeah. That's a perfect
all that
example.
Time, and he had a down year.
Yeah.
Because of it.
And then there was... Let's see here.
Was there another quote?
Yes and no. I'm trying to find the exact... also, Konecny, he's target date to play is Saturday per Vigneault in the exhibition game. But Konecny said, this is a Konecny quote. He said, AV's comments about him needing to be in camp didn't necessarily speed up the negotiating process. He said, I had already wanted to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I think it was some sort of... I think the biggest problem was, again, everything with the ice time. Thank you, Dave Haxtell. And also probably the years.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if the Flyers wanted a short-term deal.
I don't know.
But, hey, I'm fine. Because that's what doesn't make sense to me. If let's say if Chuck Fletcher wanted a 3-year deal, he would have had to realize, oh, hey, I might be screwing myself over in 3 years. Because, like you said, I got to sign Couturier and Giroux, not one or the other. I got to sign both. So let's lock them up for 6 years instead. Let's just do that. And what do you know?
Also,
got it done.
Not even just that. You would also have to worry about that year, Joel Farabee or Morgan Frost.
Ah, damn it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's already. And Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
Depending on how well they do in those years, but looking at cap now.
Exactly. Konecny continued to say, honestly, I just trusted that both sides were going to come to an agreement. I had to listen to my agent and to what Chuck had to say. We both wanted for it to be over and for me to be with a team. It was easy once we got close to a conclusion. It was easy to get done. He said, I'll be ready. I did not miss too much time. I did a lot of work on my own when I wasn't here. I think we've got a great group here that's going to pick everybody up. They're helping me a lot. Now we've got to make sure we're ready for when the puck drops opening night.
Yes.
And I think that's great, though. But because there's someone tweeted out at some of the Flyers analysts and said, what's the mood like, the fact that TK's back in Philadelphia when he arrived, and so one of the analysts was saying it's all smiles. TK was talking up with people, and not only that,
I mean the deal's done.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it makes sense.
Exactly. Not only that, a couple hugs here and there. Just glad to see him, and and that's honestly all you want. Just it's just good to see that, and not anyone getting in anybody's face or anything like that.
But the Flyers did have another preseason game last night.
They did.
This is more not just rookies and everything. So unfortunately, Farabee's line wasn't completely together because Ross would have been on that line, but he's dealing with a minor groin issue. But I think he was back out there today.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 3 guys I think that are playing tonight that were.
I have the whole roster right here for
Rubstov, Shishko, and Chris Stewart. And
yes.
I think those 3 are the only ones that are playing last night. They're playing tonight.
So here's the whole roster for tonight's game. Andy Andreoff, Michael Raffel, Scott Lawton, Mikhail Vorobiev, Curtis Gabriel.
Vorobiev.
Vorobiev, yep. Chris Stewart, German Rubtsov, Nicholas Aube-Kubel, Maxim Sushko, David Kasha, the better Kasha, Matthew Strome, Carson Twarynski, Connor Bunneman, Travis Sanheim, Robert Haig. I can't remember his first name, but Bigris, Watherspoon, Nate Prosser, TJ Brennan, Mark Freeman, Chris Bigris. There he is. Carter Hart is getting the start.
Yes.
And J.F. Berube is the backup.
Igor Zmula.
Yeah, apparently someone was saying online that they changed his name or like how to pronounce it or how to spell it or something. It's so bizarre. I'm of like our typical rule of thumb, like just wait to hear what Jim Jackson says, and that's whatever JJ says goes.
But I will say some of the standouts, because I know you were working, so you didn't really see any of the game.
Not a chance.
Besides the little clip I sent you of the goal,
which
was pretty nice. That was a kind of good sign to see that those three,
meaning Kevin Hayes, James Reamsdyk, and
they were on the
Voracek.
line together, and I mean, I wouldn't say it's not surprising, but they were the veterans out of some of the younger guys that were out there, but still they played really well, and you could see them potentially being on the line together. But again, I'm one of the people that I don't want those three, and it's still early on, but still. Once it starts condensing more, those decisions get a little harder. Yeah. But it is a good sign to see right now. And
especially for Kevin Hayes.
Yeah, I will say the best player out of the Flyers last night was Kevin Hayes.
Yeah. Oh, hands down. That's all I've been reading online this morning is Hayes here, Hayes there. He was just tearing it up. And not even just
that. I know special teams, to begin, at least for preseason, they don't care, or not as much as like 5-on-5 kind of things. So special teams to kind of throw whoever out there. On the 5-on-3 that they had for like a minute and like 55 seconds or something like that, they looked pretty good.
It's good.
Which was because of Kevin Hayes. But it was really weird at times because at one point, the three, because normally it would be a forward and two defensemen.
Right.
And the one thing I found weird, it was Rupstov, Lindblom, and I think Braun at one point.
That's interesting.
Yeah, right?
Apparently, Justin Braun has looked really good so far.
He did, but I will say this. That's another thing I was going to bring up. It was only the first game.
Yeah.
But he had some moments where he either lost his balance or his guy kind of got it best of him and he lost his edge.
Yeah.
And they beat him. But he recovered really well.
Yeah, I saw a couple recoveries online where he recovered, a couple times, recovered very well and took care of the puck.
But I'm not going to harp on that too much just because it was the first preseason game, so it was the first game action since the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I will say, if that's going to continue, that might not go his way every time.
Right.
I would kind of like to see him kind of fix that, because if that continues to happen, then it's not going to be great.
But
he did look good.
Yes.
In the time I did see him out
also,
there.
It sounds like the lines for defense are almost already set. Sounds like Provo will be with Niskanen, Sanheim with Myers, and then Gostisbehere with Braun.
But the only problem with that is
I don't want to have
Sanheim,
Ghost.
I don't want Sanheim on the third pair.
Right.
That's the only problem. He would be third pair. Not that line wouldn't be great, or that pairing wouldn't be great. That's just...
Yeah, no, I hear you.
That's just the one thing. It's a minor thing.
Right, no, I hear you. And it makes sense. But for Braun, though, the only issue... I'm sure he'll be able to fix it and work on it. But then again, two things... let's hear. One thing to keep in mind, though. He's had a shorter offseason than everybody else. Because he made it all the way to the conference finals with San Jose against St. Louis.
Yeah, he went farther than Hayes did.
Yeah. And then the other thing was I know that Braun will work on it, but I just don't want that to become a habit where Gostisbehere is going to have to pinch over and basically help recover.
He did do his patented move a bunch of times where he slide. And
I saw that. I got so excited. I was like, yeah, Ghost.
Oh, and another great thing, too, is because they showed repeatedly that the Flyers are going to be behind the glass.
Yeah.
And they showed a little glimpse, and Ghost Dog makes an appearance, and now I'm even more excited to see it.
Yeah. Oh, God. That family is perfect.
But unfortunately, last night it was a 3-1 loss to the Flyers.
Yep.
Both Lyon and Elliott let a goal in like early on from when they got in, and both were pretty much from the same spot essentially, and that was like right by the blue line, and they just kind of found a way in. But they didn't play horribly. Either one of them.
No, for sure.
Elliott had a little easier time than Lyon, because Lyon was in during the 5-on-3, and other times he had to make some bigger stops. But
also, Chris Stewart, he had a fight.
Yes, he did.
That was a pretty good fight.
After he got rocked.
Oh yeah, he got leveled. Because I couldn't tell who he was fighting.
Did you know, Jeff?
Oh boy.
According to ESPN, the Flyers have 2 Jay Farabees.
Joel Farabee, and I'm trying to think who the other one is.
Joel Farabee.
What?
It was a spelling mistake.
Oh, my gosh.
They had put Joel Farabee's name on there twice. But the second Joel Farabee has a shot, and the first Joel Farabee didn't have a shot. I don't know how that makes sense.
I mean,
everything else is the same.
I would like another Joel Farabee. That'd be great. Thank you, ESPN.
Another little box score they have.
Yeah.
I find that funny.
Okay,
I will say this, though. It is good to see that Voracek and JVR and Hayes did really well.
Yeah.
Now it's just kind of building. And Myers, or not Myers.
Moran.
His name's not even up there, but Philippe Myers.
Oh, yes.
It wasn't as great of a performance, obviously, as the rookie game, but he did play pretty well, I would say. At one point, I know they still scored on the empty net, but he did stop the first attempt of the empty netter, which I thought was actually pretty great because he got back, because he was the only defenseman in there. It was like a 2-on-1, then he stopped it somehow. But then wanted to run the net, and then they ended up scoring like a second later.
Yeah. Apparently, it sounds like German Rubasov. Because Charlie O'Connor said it a couple hours ago. Interesting to me that Rubasov in particular is getting the second game in 2 nights. I mean, testing out his endurance like they did with Myers last preseason with a question mark at the end. So it sounds like they're really trying to work Rubasov to see if he is ready to potentially, do back-to-back games, stuff like this.
You could say that, but
I don't know how to look at that.
Well, according to the box score I got up, he only played 6 minutes in a second yesterday.
Interesting.
So that could be why, but Farabee only played 8 minutes in a second apparently. So, so maybe that could be why, and maybe that's it too. But they also had, I will say this too, the Vorobiev line, that fourth line, at least to start the game, looked pretty well. Because they were did really well forechecking and kept stopped the Islanders from getting it out of their zone at times. They looked pretty good. They didn't really start playing better until the second period, but still. I found Phil Myers. They put him as a right winger.
Oh, yeah. All right, ESPN. Way to go.
Walensky played pretty well, too. I will say
That's
that.
good.
I think.
That's good to hear.
But it is weird to see another number 3.
And not think of Radko Gudas.
Yes. But I will put this question out to you before, because I think that's kind of it on the Flyers front.
Yeah, and then we'll get to Pittsburgh.
Basically, because not just Flyers' sake, but what do you think it would take? Because I brought this up when you were talking off the podcast a little while ago. What do you think it would take for like a how did I put it? Oh yeah, what would it take to for an under the radar prospect to make the team?
Yes.
What would they what is good enough?
Right. And I was trying to come up with everything.
I was thinking is it obviously it's consistently doing well, but is it you're doing well in camp, drills and everything, but maybe say Farabee last night, he didn't put up any points or anything.
But he's still on the ice everywhere. Yeah,
but he still had, even off the ice, made good decisions and said the right things afterwards and everything.
Yeah.
Or is it a guy if say in NHL 20 or something like that, where if you're sim a game, you're automatically down the line.
Yeah.
Because you're not really putting up points. Yeah. Is it a points thing, or what do you think would?
It's literally, I think it's a mix of everything. It's chemistry, But again, so for example, Joel Farabee, because he's really, I think, the standout star that could make this team.
I mean, he also got the benefit of playing with Giroux and Couturier.
And the fact that they threw him up there in the absence of TK, I would say at the time being, that's a really good sign. He was honestly shocked. He even said to reporters, he's like, I thought it was a typo.
Yeah.
But that's just how high they think of this kid. AV thinks he's ready. Mm-hmm. Literally, he flat out said, I think this kid has what it takes. He can play.
I want to see, because the 2 lines he's been on have been good lines, because he's been with Frost, Ratcliffe, and
then
he was with Frost and Ratcliffe, and then
during the rookie game,
and last night would have been the same thing. It was Ratcliffe, and I think it was Chris Stewart. I think it was on his other side.
I can't remember because Frost.
Oh no, it was it might have been O'Reilly. It was someone.
It was Cal O'Reilly. That's who it was.
But the one thing I want to see is, can he do it consistent with different lines?
Right.
Depending on where they put him, would he still
and that's
do well
the other thing.
Outside of being with 2 of the best prospects you could argue he's with, or the 2 best players you got?
And so a very important factor that I think really will make or break Farabee making the team, he needs to finish strong on the puck. So perfect example, a couple of years, within the last 2 years, when Oscar Lindblom was having the time of his life at camp and killing it and dominating and even preseason and everything, he was doing good, but he wasn't finishing strong on the puck, and he didn't make the team yet. Now, for Farabee, he's a little bit more well-rounded and everything. I think he has a better shot right away than, Lindblom when he was trying to make the team. But I definitely think that Farabee has a very good chance of, making this team. There's a little section on The Athletic. They've listed on the bubble with 6 other players. But for Farabee though, they'll have to impress on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like they really, really will.
Do you think Rupstov, in a way, playing second time, do you think that's benefiting him?
That really is. Because
more, would you say that helps Rupstov more than Farabee, or is...
I don't...
Because my thinking is that I think they see these 2 guys differently in the roles that they'd be playing on.
Right, I think...
Because one of the days, I forget which day it was, but Rupstov was playing the wing.
Yeah.
Which I found really surprising.
I mean, they just like to experiment, because there are different times throughout, the NHL season where... Literally, perfect example. Look at Giroux. He's been a center his whole career, and then he got tossed over to a wing on an experiment. And turns out, look at this, it's working great.
And unfortunately, even with Picklick out, I don't know how likely it is he loses his spot.
Yeah,
on the fourth line.
Yeah,
at least
there's definitely one spot open. That's on the 3rd line.
Yes. The
only thing is, do they want to put Farabee, a naturally born winger, there? Or do they want to put someone like Frost? And I hate to put it this way, but with the things that are going, with how good Farabee's looking, and don't get me wrong, I love Joel Farabee. I love what he's doing so far. I think he's going to be great, and he's going to be on the team this year. That's my prediction. I think it's going to go Farabee, for chances of making the team, Farabee, Rubasov, Frost.
And then
this groin injury is really hurting Frost's chances of making the team.
A little bit, but it's just a minor thing.
Well, I know it's a minor thing, but I just want to make sure that Frost is, he's developed right. And
I'm sure, I think they play on Thursday or whatever.
They do play Thursday. He'll play then probably.
I'm sure he's playing then.
And then again, Saturday.
Because the one thing you don't want to have happen, because... I'm sure it's a minor thing, but it was also precautionary, I'm sure.
That's true.
Because you don't want it to get worse in just preseason.
Exactly. When he's trying to make the team.
Yeah, because he's going to try harder because he's trying to make the team.
Exactly.
Which is something I actually thought about last night. And that if you were running a team and say how the Flyers were down 2-1 in the last couple minutes of the game, I don't know if it'd be weird, but for me, I would try maybe putting more younger players out there just to see how they would handle that kind of situation.
Pressure. Yeah. No, that's an excellent point because
the one thing I noticed at the end of the game is that the
who's out there?
They kept bringing out Hayes and Lindblom and them.
Which,
I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it is just preseason.
Right. I mean, I think it's good that they did have Hayes out there only because they want to see more.
I think it was just like the usual. I think it was like the Hayes line.
But I'm glad that at least Hayes got a little bit out there more towards the end because they want to see, how does this player look under pressure like this?
Right.
Obviously, it's just preseason. It's in a way meaningless. Scoring-wise, it's a meaningless game, whatever. Lindblom, he's still a rather young player. They know what they have in him. They just like to see if he can kind of amp the level up even more. But no, I think you're right, though. I think if they had Farabee or Ratcliffe or did Rubasov play the other night?
Yeah.
He did. Or even Rubasov out there.
Or Vorobiev.
Or Vorobiev, exactly. Another possible bubble player. Just to see, all right, here's a situation wherein, boys, what can you bring to the table? Let's try to make a play up. Farabee almost scored, by the way.
What?
Because I saw a highlight towards the end, just online earlier this morning. Farabee was right in front of the net. He crashed the net. Yeah. He had a couple chances at it, but there's so much pressure all in front of the net, and it was so hard to get to the puck. I don't know if he fanned on it or just didn't get enough of the puck or what, but he was right there in the middle of things.
I would do that more so at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because once you get towards near the end of camp, then that's more so what your roster is going to look like.
Exactly. And you just want to get those lines ready.
Yeah. But at this point, I'd be like, okay, this is just like their first actual preseason game. What happens if I throw some of these guys out there?
Exactly.
But I think that's where we're going to end it there with the Flyers, at least.
Yes. Now on to
our second to last team in the Metro, and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yes.
And to some, meaning me, made some questionable moves this offseason.
Very. Very.
I think we should get these people off the edge of their seats, Jeffrey.
Yes.
What is the thing that you were holding off?
Evgeny Malkin.
Yes.
So
as we know, there was kind of little.
Yes.
The thing that came out was like there are little things here and there that Malkin and
Phil Kessel
weren't getting along and everything.
And you could see it though on the bench.
Yeah, they were arguing at times on the bench and everything.
Not only that, but he got in. He even in a recent article from The Athletic, Malkin. It was kind of like an interview article type of thing. He was saying that he never sees the future. I think that's his problem. He thinks that's his problem. But nobody was more shocked than Malkin was last season. That turned into the worst of his 13-year career. He said, I think last year it was all my fault. He scored half as many goals as the previous season of 21. He seemed slow in transition. He took way too many risks, took too many turnovers, or made too many turnovers, too many penalties. He's injured but also frustrated. He grew distant. He fought with his coach, Mike Sullivan. He looked like just a regular player out there, lost faith as a winger. He looked unrecognizable. He even said, I think my head starts like getting crazy. I fight with Sully. I fight with teammates. I a little bit upset at everyone. The fights with Sullivan were about ice time. He was lobbied for around 20 minutes and wanted to play when opponents pulled their goalie. He wanted to, have Malkin eliminate the blind passes to the middle of the ice, pick spots instead of going in the corner, take pucks from opponents rather than committing turnovers. Also, here's where things got serious. His problems with Phil Kessel were much harder to hide. You could see it on the bench. You could see them, they're friends and everything, but Malkin did decline to elaborate on how his on-ice relationship with Kessel fell apart, but it's clear he grew tired of feeling caught between the ongoing Sullivan-Kessel rift, according to multiple team of the league sources. So much that multiple sources said if Phil Kessel was to return, Evgeny Malkin would have requested a trade.
Which is why you saw a bunch of times during the offseason that there were rumors that they might be trading Malkin or Kessel or one of the two. It ended up being Kessel.
Yeah.
Who wanted to go to Arizona for some reason.
Back in June, Jim Rutherford said Crosby was the only untouchable in trade talks. A shot across Malkin's bow, intended or not. Multiple team sources also said Crosby rarely wants to involve himself in management matters, made it clear to the Penguins that Malkin should not be traded for any reason. He said, "It's me and Gino." But my thing is, though, looking at this whole situation with Kessel, Malkin, really Sullivan, and Rutherford, it's like, what the heck is going on here?
Sullivan, Malkin, and
you
can't really be funny with their coaches either.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying, because this is the same team that went back-to-back 16-17 back-to-back cups.
Minus a couple things here and there, but yeah.
Well, right, for sure. But it's, like, where is this coming from? Like I don't know. Again, I'm curious to seeing what the whole issue is with. Again, I get it. Malkin probably wants more ice time. And Kessel, he's obviously a very unique character. He's an interesting personality. And Malkin, he has a very interesting personality. I'm sure it's not easy, those two butting heads all the time.
Well, for Kessel, I think he also gets this perception of being lazy.
Oh, yeah.
Not trying as hard
Absolutely.
and everything, like if you're losing or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that's what a lot of people kind of think of him. And Malkin, I'll even say to this, too. I've seen it in games when they've played the Flyers, the times when, and even you've seen it, too. All Flyers fans have. When Couturier or someone gets under his skin because he's not doing well.
He causes too much penalties. He receives too many penalties.
My thinking is, I think Malkin has a bit of a temper issue.
Yeah. Literally,
I think when he doesn't get his way, he lashes out, which is why he'll take dumb penalties. If he's not doing well, someone takes the pucks from him. If he somehow randomly blindsides Strong Couturier.
Yeah. Not only that, but remember with the incident with Michael Raffl. That will always stick out right before the Saving Series game. Yeah. He took like a baseball swing with his hockey stick at Raffl.
Yep.
He wasn't thrilled with the NHL or their decision to suspend him for it. Sure, you could definitely argue that Raffl instigated it, the whole thing. He gave him a little shot to the back of the head. That those type of things happen in this rivalry, especially. Mm-hmm. But the moment you start swinging your stick like that and lose your cool, that's when things go from bad to worse to absolute.
You are in the
low.
NHL, and most times the refs only see the retaliation. They don't see the initial.
Exactly. It doesn't matter
when you're trying to swing for the fences at someone,
especially their head.
You're gonna get something.
Yeah, but it's just a 13-year-old vet in the league.
Not that he is a good player.
Oh yeah,
but
he
does
talent. He has these issues, and I
yeah.
really think that Pittsburgh needs to really consider. Not obviously, I'm not saying trading him, but they need to consider what would be best for Malkin and to kind of get his head wrapped around everything as a whole again. Because they need him to return to his championship winning mentality.
Yeah.
You know?
And honestly, from what I was seeing all offseason, for me, it seemed like they were just kind of trying anew, gonna try to blow up the team a little bit from the little bit I kind of saw from them and everything. Mm-hmm. Especially when you see, everyone's available except for Sidney Crosby. Oh, I guess they're thinking of starting over.
Yeah.
Not that this team still has some good talent, and obviously the best player, the second best, you can argue, because I'm sure some people have Crosby still the best player and everything,
but this is where it gets worrisome for Pittsburgh.
Again, for me, it's depth wise, I don't think it's that great.
Right. Well, it's depth, but also look at their contracts. Malkin, he's making more than Crosby, $9.5 million for the next 4 years. Crosby, $8.7 million until 2025-2026. Gensel, $6 million till 2024-2025. Hornquist, $5.3 million till 2023-2024. Alex Galchenyuk, who they got in return of Phil Kessel, along with Pierre-Olivier Joseph in that big trade. $4.9 million for the next 2 years. Bugstad, $4.1 million for the next 3 years. Brandon Tanev. This is where it gets. This was baffling. $3.5 million for it looks like 7 years.
It was.
Was it 6?
It was 6 years, $21 million.
6 years, 20. Like, what are you thinking?
I don't know, but that really is the smallest amount I've seen for that amount of years and everything.
It's just so baffling. But not only that,
not even that, because I actually will reference my write-up I did on the Penguins.
Oh, yeah.
Their strengths are obviously still there. Crosby, Malkin.
Mm-hmm. Gensel is a big strength.
Slightly better offense, but not much. And obviously Matt Murray.
Casey DeSmith is a very reliable backup, by the way.
I do think there is a potential of Murray back rebounding.
Yeah.
Because he has had the past couple of years, it's kind of been a down year for him.
His contract's almost up, by the way. He's an RFA next year.
Yeah. But obviously the big loss is Kessel's production.
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
Galchenyuk will bring some of that back, but
I don't think
not
as much.
Not to the production of Kessel, no. And also, they lost Oli Mata. He's not that good of a defenseman for the Penguins.
They traded him to Chicago.
Yeah, he's not that great of a defenseman, I'll admit, but he was the Penguins, one of the better Penguins defense. So I do think they got slightly worse on the defensive end.
Yeah, because on defense they have Chris Letang. They still have him for 4 more years.
Yeah, who can still. He's not great, but he's still their best.
Yeah, Justin Schultz for 2 more years. Brian Dumoulin for 5. All these contracts, because look at it: 7.25 Letang, 5.5 for Schultz, 4.1 for Dumoulin. Gabranson, $4 million. That made no sense. Jack Johnson, 3.25 till 2023, 2024. It's so bizarre because during the championship years, Jim Rutherford seemed to really understand what it took to make you a championship team because he created one in Carolina in 2006. But
there's that, and also, he's good at making trades, I'll say. In-season trades.
Yes, in-season. That's a good way to put it. In-season trades.
Contract-wise and everything.
Not so much.
Not that great.
But think about it, though. Look at the so some of the depth moves that they made during the championship years. Carl Hagelin, that was a huge trade that really went their way, and that was superb for them. They didn't have to give up much from what I remember.
Bye. See ya. Go to LA.
Yeah. But it's because again, what the huge reason why it's not even a secret to success. It should be a well-known fact of the NHL now. It's you need speed, skill, and depth. Yeah. They had that, but now it's just some speed, skill, and some depth. Yeah, they lost that depth a lot. They have. Well, let's take a look at Daily Face-Off.
Let's see what they say.
To see how they currently have the Penguins lineup.
And all this being said, I still think they'll do better than the Flyers.
Probably, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Why look that up?
And here's
last year they did get 100 points last year.
Yeah.
They went 44, 26, and 12.
Yeah. And at one point they looked like they're gonna miss the playoffs. At one point.
Yeah. They were the 9th best team last year.
Yeah. It didn't seem like it at times. No. It really didn't. Here's the lines though. For the Penguins, according to Daily Face-Off. So, of course, Crosby, Gensel, and Dominic Cahoon top line. Galchenyuk, Malkin, and Russ. That could be a pretty lethal line right there. Here's where some depth pops up. Nick Bugstad and Patrick Hornquist on the third line. I think that's really good depth right there.
Hornquist isn't leaving Crosby. What are they talking about?
I don't know. That's why it's confusing. Yeah, it honestly should be Crosby, Gensel, Hornquist, not Cahoon. Cahoon's not bad, but if you want the production you get out of Hornquist as well, throw him on top line.
Well, I mean, you can throw anyone out there. Crosby.
That's true. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried Galchenyuk on the top line at some point. And then Jared McCann on the third line. Fourth line, Brandon Tanev, You're paying him all that money to be on the fourth line. That's unreal. Teddy Bluger and Dominic Simone. That's not bad. Defense, Dylan Letang, Marcus Pettersson, who got an extension couple within the last week or two.
Where'd they put Aston Reese?
Aston Reese, he's not even on here, but I would put him on this line because he's proven to be able to play. Mm-hmm. He's a really solid young kid still.
But Murray kind of does need a backup year, and I have said this before too, in that I do think out of the past couple years of the Penguins, I do think this team is beatable.
Yes.
Having said that, they still have Crosby.
Yes.
And they still have Malkin. And that kind of goes a long way. Because they're still very productive players, even as they enter their mid-30s. Malkin's 33, Crosby's 32.
Yep.
But again, it's one of those, that's still a long ways away to have that conversation of how this team will look once they're actually gone from the league. But that's still years to come. But I will say, come 2022, 2023, when Malkin is a free agent and some of this drama and stuff is still happening.
Honestly, I won't be surprised if they released him.
Yeah, or traded him or something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not a Penguin by the time his
this isn't the NFL.
Contract
you can't
ends.
just release someone for no reason.
Well, yeah, true. But yeah, right now, projected cap space, literally, it's $0 for the Penguins this year.
Yeah,
$0. That's in how much cap hell they're in right now.
That's
They're literally to the max.
That's why they can only do for Pettersson.
Yeah, it was
1 year contract for
$874,000. Yeah, it's wild. Next year they got Galchenyuk, Jared McCann, Dominic Cahoon, Dominic Simone, Justin Schultz, Marcus Pettersson, Juuso Rigola, Chad Ruedel, and Matt Murray. All they have to re-sign. I wouldn't be surprised if Schultz was gone. He's a 5.5 cap hit. 5.5 mil.
Mm-hmm.
They can't afford that.
I know you've done this with the past couple teams we did. I know you did your internship there, which was a couple years ago.
In Wilkes, Scranton, yes. With Baby Penguins.
Yeah. What do you think of some of their topper end?
So Zach Aston Reese, I got to see him play. This kid can play. He can flat out play. He was a star in Wilkes Scranton the year I was there. He's remarkable. That's why I'm surprised that I don't know if he'll or I don't know why Daily Faceoff doesn't have him on their lines or anything, but he can flat out play. Dominic Simone, Teddy Bluger, they're pretty solid. I'm glad that they're finally getting a shot, both at 25 years old. Mm-hmm. They were more so depth players. I think Bluger was on the second, maybe third line. But Bluger, he's a pretty solid player. Simone, again, just brings more depth. And Casey DeSmith. I prefer Tristan Jarry over DeSmith, but the fact they actually have DeSmith listed as their backup, that just shows you how much depth they have in their future goaltending, though. Mm-hmm. And nothing against DeSmith. He's older than Murray. He's 28.
Oh, well, let's not forget they did get the Coyotes' best prospect, pretty much.
Pierre-Olivier Joseph. Oh, my gosh. That kid is going to be a star.
That's the only thing I don't know why they put that in this trade.
Yeah.
That's the one part where they won.
Yes, I agree.
Galchenyuk isn't a bad player. He's just
for
not
sure.
Gonna get you the production.
Yeah.
Phil Kessel will,
but
you getting.
Oh man, that's a big win right there, and the fact that he's going because he's 20.
Yeah.
The fact that he's going to be in his first year in pro hockey. He's going to be a stud in Wilkes Scranton and the Baby Penguins. They're going to love him there. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes his NHL debut at some point.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there's someone on their defensive end that kind of...
If someone gets injured long-term or just in general, for maybe call him up for... maybe have him for a 9-game trial before sending him back down to the minors. I don't know.
I was going to say if there's a potential that one of these other guys they got on their defensive end don't do well in the preseason and training camp and everything, and he's a standout. I don't see how you want to put him on there because he honestly can't be worse than some of the guys he put out.
Right.
That's just me looking at it as the Penguins.
Yeah.
As a Flyers fan. But as a Flyers fan, but also kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt, but still, it's not a great defense. Because Justin Schultz isn't the same defenseman that he was before. He's kind of fallen off. Chris Letang can still give you solid minutes and is pretty good defensively, but he's kind of an injury risk lately. He has had some injury issues lately, but he's still a good, solid defenseman. Dumoulin's pretty good. Danticket. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
They got Pedersen from Anaheim.
Yeah.
But I will say this, too, because like we said in the other kind of podcasts in the Metro, some of these teams kind of have improved.
Mm.
And if any last season was any kind of thing, is that anything can really happen.
Mm.
So there is potential that someone could take their spot, but I don't see that really happening because they're still a good team.
Right. Yeah, no, they are a sharp team. I think they're going to compete in a top 4 spot for the Metro. I don't know where they'll end up finishing, but they have some positives, unfortunately, and some negatives as well. But that happens with any team.
Every team kind of has some
exactly.
To them, so.
We'll see what happens with them.
Yeah.
It's tough to predict their year just because...
I mean, as Flyers fans, we would love it if they are terrible.
Yeah, but...
the likelihood of that happening is very slim.
Yeah. Very.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, though. But I think that things will be... solid for Pittsburgh as always. They're a very sharp team.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see how Malkin rebounds this year. I think he'll be one of their best players because Kessel's not there. As weird as that sounds, they're going to lose point production, but yeah.
As long as he doesn't get too into the whole fighting with everyone.
Exactly. I think there'll be less issues this year with him.
If it's not, though, let's say. If you look at the other side, like let's say he's still doing this,
then you really
have to consider
his future. Yeah.
Because then that's just being something toxic in your locker room. That's just
and any locker room that wants to go back to the highest peak of the league knows you can't have. You have to have solid chemistry all throughout the locker room, all throughout the building, the whole organization, down to the minors.
And eventually, these dynasties, I guess you could say, these great teams do eventually fall.
Yeah,
just like the Blackhawks the past couple of seasons,
and the Kings.
Yeah, and the Ducks you could even throw in there.
Yeah, for sure.
As in, they were always a consistent team.
Exactly. Now they're just
goodbye.
Before we end things here quickly, Mike, 2 things. One regarding the Flyers, because Sam Corchini tweeted this out, though.
Oh, are they signing me?
Huh?
What?
They are signing you, yes.
Oh, cool.
You're playing tonight.
Cool.
You just got to go to Long Island basically now because the game starts in like 2 hours. 2.5 hours.
Is that a challenge?
It's a challenge.
All right, it's accepted.
All right, so I'll finish up here while you just get a good head start.
Yeah.
You might be a tad bit late. Well, you can probably get to the second, maybe third period by the time you get there.
If I drove, maybe.
Yeah, true. We'll just get you on that. We'll give you a helicopter.
Oh, okay.
But so German Rubinsoff, who is a candidate for third right wing, is playing again, like we mentioned. And Corchini says because AV wants to see how he does on consecutive nights. So we're basically right on that aspect there.
Yeah. Which is also what Charlie was saying too.
Yes. Also, so for tonight's game, Round 2 with the Islanders tonight. I believe it's a 7:30 start, if not 7 or 7:30 start. You can watch that game on NBC Sports Philadelphia Plus, and it will be broadcasted on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yep, and next podcast we are on the last team in the Metro and the
Washington Capitals. 7:00 start, by the way, tonight for the game. But yeah, for the Caps, they are next on our list.
So look out for that podcast when it comes out. And until then, we'll leave you with that.